Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori. If you're new here today, we're doing a little beverage chat. I'm trying to kind of switch it up. For Vlogmas, if that makes sense. I don't know. I've been trying new things. I feel like I haven't gotten on here to chat about some things in a long time. I used to do beverage chats in relation to... I don't know. I don't like to censor myself, but I am trying to grow this account. But in relation to controversial topics that I don't think should be controversial, I always find that everyone should have a seat at the table. If you have an opinion about something and you can speak without this elevated emotion and kind of bring your own facts to the table, I'm cool with it. If I'm going to make a decision on something, I want to argue both sides before I do it. So yeah, all that to say, welcome. If you're new, hi, my name is Tori. I make relatable content, I guess is now what we're going to call it. Things that I do every single day that are not scripted, they're not staged, and I don't know, have been finding it refreshing to share my true self. I've been on this little YouTube journey for going on 7 years now, which is insanity to me, but we're still going. I am a wife. I'm a mother to 3 that recently moved back to the home state of Pennsylvania. So we're kind of just in this limbo phase, staying at a close family member's house, while we get our feet on the ground. And that's kind of the news I wanted to share today, and it will lead into something else. But the general idea around this video is perception. I've been struggling with that word my entire life, and, it leads into some things. So again, welcome if you're new. I would love it if you hit the subscribe button. We are going to start this out with some Saranac. I am treating myself to, where's the viewfinder? Here we go. Let me get out of it. Can you see it? What's happening? There it is. And my wrinkly palms. We have a Black Forest cake by Saranac. It's super good. Probably gonna pour it wrong. Fun fact, I was a bartender and I worked in several breweries, but I pour beer the same way, I would say, unless it's like a nitro on a tap, and I'm gonna pour it differently. But cheers to you. Let me know what you're drinking in the comments, and let me taste it. Okay, so kind of like a light stout. I don't know what this would be described as. It's a lager brewed with cherries and natural flavor, but I really love it. Oh, natural flavor. I mean, it's alcohol, so you just really can't get too healthy. I feel like you could this looks strange with my sweater like this, if you stuck with just like straight tequila, but I can't drink straight liquor, so I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to enjoy this little holiday beer. But big news is we have secured a job. It was a conditional offer for my husband, so we actually will be moving in the state, but we're very excited. There's just a lot of questions, a lot of moving parts, and a lot of unknowns still. So we are not familiar with the area that we will be moving to, so we're considering, I don't know, maybe just while he gets some training done. He's been a police officer before, but obviously we're in a different state. He's in law enforcement. If you're new here, and, he flies drones, and it's pretty cool what he does. I'm excited for him, but there is a lot to learn when it comes to the laws in Pennsylvania. So I will say he's a pretty smart guy, so I don't have any non-faith in this adventure, but I think the heat's kicking on. We'll see. If it gets too loud, we'll see. But I don't have any non-faith or ill will towards this adventure. We just don't know much about it. So I think we'll be staying here in my hometown while he does some training, and then we'll look into buying a home. And I've talked about it before, but I'm pretty particular. I would not say I'm a spoiled princess about this house, this endeavor that we're going on, but I want land. I think that's going to be too loud, so I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, it turned off, but my goal is to beat the next round, and it's pretty cold tonight, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, like I was saying, that's what's going on with our family. A lot of unknowns, but that's what we're doing. So right now, we're in like full, not really stock up mode, but just doing a lot of home canning, a lot of freezing. We're getting a lot of gifts from family members. We're getting venison because people are getting their deers. My dad's an avid fisherman, so we get fish from him. And it's just been really, beautiful, for lack of better terms. I don't know. We just really enjoy being with the family. But what I came on here to say, and I'm doing this in hopes that I keep it brief. I know some of you do have time to sit here and chat with me, but some of you don't. So I will try and get to the point, but I'm not very good at that. I have mom brain. I think it's just going to be like a lifelong thing at this point, but who knows? Anyways, perception. I've struggled with it my entire life, and then getting online just really, secured my anxiety over perception, what people think of me. And, there's just like that saying that everyone's going to say like, oh, you shouldn't care. But now being a mother, I just feel very, I don't know if attacked is the right word, but everything you do is under a microscope. And I've learned, I guess pretty recently in the past year that, there's so many people that follow me or just like don't follow me, but check on my content regularly, that don't like me, that really don't agree with what I have to say. The only reason that they're following me is to put me down. And I understand now, and like 6 months ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to speak about this like confidently without just having this negative thought in the back of my mind. But I feel like I can speak freely. But getting back to it, like I know that's a reflection on those people, but I've always had such a hard time with it. But then that's those people. So I've let that go. I still have problems with perception when it comes to people that I know and love, and people on here that have followed me for a long time. So I guess, what I'm trying to say is I never post anything to offend anybody. I do feel like people interpret my tone the wrong way just because I'm pretty dry. And when I talk about serious topics, I do laugh here and there. I've talked about that a lot, and I know a lot of you are in my corner, but I never want to upset anybody. That's my last thing. But unfortunately, on this app and many others, the content that is pushed is going to be the controversial content. And unfortunately, that is what it is. And I can't stop myself from posting something so simple as a home canning recipe without someone screaming at me that I'm going to unalive my family with botulism or something like that. It could be something so tiny and minuscule, but everyone's going to have their own opinion. And I feel like we've lost that like coexistence of having differing views. And I'm definitely guilty of that, but this kind of stems from a post that I made the other day, and I keep saying kind of, I'm going to try my best here. I'm going to go into it with me telling you that, again, I'm not trying to offend you. This is just my perspective. I posted something about what happened to the United Healthcare CEO, and it was just information. I wasn't taking a side, but I will say I don't feel that unaliving that person was a justified unalive. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to word it just because of this app. I don't want to be censored. I want my content to get out there so we can have people come to the table and talk calmly, presently, and positively about situations like this, because we see it in the media. And it's the whole situation is very strange to me. I felt like it was a distraction towards something else. Like, what are they trying to hide? And if you're new here, we're going to talk about they a lot. We don't know who they is, but we talk about it a lot. And I feel like it's important to just really have that in the back of your mind. And a lot of people say, this is the rantings of a lunatic. No, these aren't theories anymore. It can't be a theory if it's proven. So that's how I feel about that. Most of you are on the same page with me, but I guess, I don't know. I never wanted to offend anybody with that post. I'm not speaking directly to anybody. I just, I know there were feelings on each side, and when I saw that happen, it was extremely interesting to me. And now more information is coming out. I don't know how I feel about it. I find it very odd that they found this person in Altoona, Pennsylvania, with all of the incriminating evidence on him. I just felt like this was a little bit more planned. It was more sophisticated, I guess, a sophisticated unalive. And I just don't feel like if that person was going to do that, that person would carry that on him. There was talk about the CEO being, I guess, I don't know, he was going to testify against a very strong elderly member, of the government, and she didn't want that to happen. I just haven't found any truth to that. I've seen fact checkers just fact it. If you just like do a general Google search, which I hate doing because you're never going to get truthful information, but I've gone down, some deep dives with certain accounts. I just can't find a trusted source for that. So if you do, just let me know, just email it to me or even drop it in the comments. I don't care. But that's my take on that. But most of if you're new here, maybe not. And the video's linked a few videos back, and I said in that video, it was why we left the medical system. And it was based on my daughter. My daughter contracted or whatever, got Guillain-Barré after the 9-month recommended schedule. And if you look into that, you'll probably know, you can probably pinpoint the one that made this illness in my child. And it's tricky for me to talk about. It's an autoimmune condition. If you really do a deep dive into this condition, there was a famous president here. I can allude to it without completely wrecking my channel here, but there's a famous president who was said to have a very terrible disease that starts with a P. And now looking back, a lot of people thought it was actually Guillain-Barré. So those are the connections that I'm making. I've worked with neurology, I've worked with naturopaths, functional medicine, and it's just, it seems to be, the glowing, I guess, thing that we've always needed the answer to. And, I've gone into that conversation before, but I haven't gone into the kicker of it all, and that was insurance not covering it. And you guessed it, it was United Healthcare that chose not to cover it. And that wasn't the first time that we had dealt with enormous bill. I don't know if I'll say numbers, maybe I will later. I'm not sure. An enormous bill because a child got sick. My son was actually very sick, and my husband, if you know him personally, would probably never use this word, but he sat down the other day and said, maybe we have some medical trauma from our children. And it was just like a breath of fresh air. Like, yeah, we definitely do. And it's nice to have him recognize that. But every single time you go to insurance and they're saying they're not going to cover it, and they're defending, they're denying, and the rest of what was written on those shell cases, essentially, I don't know, take a pat. I'm gonna take a sip so I can collect my thoughts here. It's hard to see your child sick, especially with my firstborn. My son, he was in the hospital for human metapneumovirus. We were taken by ambulance down to Children's Hospital in Colorado because he turned blue in my arms, and it was scary. It was really scary to see. And we weren't getting answers just because they were, acting so fast. And I have spoken about the medical community so many times, and I think maybe there might be a few malicious people in it, but generally I know in my heart that there are good, dear people that want to protect humans. I do think, though, they have one set of experience, one set of opinions, and only one set of information. There are some that do treat the root cause. There are some that help with diet and exercise. But at the end of the day, they all went to the same school. And the school is funded and written by one person. And, well, multiple people. But you know what I mean? I have such a hard time with that because I never want to knock the medical community. I have so many people close to me in the medical community, and I'm never knocking that profession. It is needed, and I am not saying that medical intervention isn't serious and isn't needed in some cases, but just going back to every single thing that has happened to my children is just, it's mind-boggling, and it consumes you. I quit my job to be home with them, to spend more time with them. That was the start of it. I had a fear of losing them, and I wanted to spend more time with them. And then, it got a little bit more in depth, and I got more confidence in my motherhood. I got more informed because I kept asking questions, and I talk about that so much. Just keep asking questions. If you see an article that sounds a little off, or maybe just like a little out of the park, just keep digging. Even if you see a general one, just keep digging, because I just feel like there's so many things that they've lied to us about. And I'm not a medical professional. I'm a mother. I'm a human who has had a life experience, and I said it on an Instagram feed, I think, which some of you don't see, but you're not allowed to deny someone's human experience in the name of science. I get so frustrated, and it can be as simple as, hey, I'm not eating seed oils, and then someone running into the comments like a bat out of hell, some scientist that, financially benefits from people eating seed oils, running in and saying it's misinformation and it's dangerous. And that's baloney. I stopped eating seed oils and now I feel better. That does not mean I don't sit here and have a nice beer or I have coffee. Sometimes we go out to eat and I can't control those oils. We are 80-20, I'd say 70-30 at this point, for a reason, because we would be so unbalanced if we didn't have our mental health. And I've never had this much clarity in my life, especially to sit here and confidently talk to you. Some of you have been here for the full 7 years, and maybe you have seen that, comfortability I have now on the screen to sit here and chat. Of course, this video is probably going to be choppy because I try and chop out ands and buts and knows and all the classic things that I say, but trying to gather my thoughts back to it. I hate saying this isn't medical advice, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, maybe it's advice to do some more digging, start questioning, and I don't know, go from there. But yeah, back to the insurance issue. And this doesn't happen to everybody, and this is just my personal experience, and that's all I can say about it. But I spent 3 years, this happened to my daughter when she was 1, she's 4.5, and I spent 3 years trying to, negotiate on my part between the hospital and all of the doctors that we saw, and the insurance company, trying to figure out how they could cover this, because they didn't cover it. We entered through the wrong emergent door. There were 2 emergency doors. We entered through a side door because we didn't know. We were doing what we were told. We followed somebody in. So that's at the end of the day why they didn't cover it. We were even told they were covering it the second day that we got there, when my daughter was under, we shall say, and it's hard for me to talk about because I see it in my mind. I graphically see her still, and it's horrible. But with insurance, my husband, of course, had to go back to work, and I got off a little bit, but I was told by my district that I needed to come back immediately or I wouldn't have a job. So, there was rush. There was a lot of rush trying to get her off the feeding tubes to travel back to Colorado, because we were in Pennsylvania. Again, you'd have to look at my video to understand this fully, but it takes a lot on a person. And anyways, we rushed back, and I jumped right into school again, and I'm a teacher, so that was during all the garbage going on in the world. We were masked, and I was over at the daycare because I had to get her back in daycare. I was over at the daycare, twice a day, just trying to, I don't know, emphasize the severity of her healing, because no one had ever heard of Guillain-Barré in a 1-year-old. The closest that we found was a 7-year-old in Peru. He was a male that had it, and guess what? It was an injury, and that's the only information we had. You know, I'll say it, my sister's in the medical community and she works with patients with Guillain-Barré. They're usually they're, you know, over 50 and they're males. So it's just a very odd occurrence. And we didn't have much to go on. So getting back to it, going back and forth with insurance, I must have talked. I have a huge binder full of every conversation. I wanted to record them all because it was hard to write it down. Being on hold and taking care of 2 children and trying to remember everything. And I went back and looked before the video. I talked to 67 people. 67 people I told her story to. And I still can't tell her story without breaking down. And, you know, that's not their fault. It is what it is. I'm an emotional human, but it was hard. And we still haven't gotten to the bottom of it. And yeah, I'm going to tell you a number. It's over $500,000 at this, or yeah, $500,000 at this point. It's like laughable and ridiculous. And it's just, it's so much. So circling back, when I posted that, I saw it, and when I saw that, I didn't laugh. I wasn't happy that it happened to this man, but it made me question, it made me think, and then it made me go back to my own trauma with the medical community and the insurance, and seeing how this is such a flaw in our country. No, I don't think that universal healthcare is going to help this. There's so much that goes into that. And I think a lot of young generations and maybe people that choose not to do digging don't fully grasp what that would take from our, I don't know, society. We wouldn't survive. We just wouldn't. So I don't know. I hesitate because I don't have an answer. Absolutely don't. But this is my own personal story. And I think, you know, someone's probably going to come on here and say how wrong I am. But this is my personal experience. And that's where my confidence comes from. Just like being open and sharing this, because there's not a lot of information out there about it. So yeah, that's the beverage chat tonight. That's what I wanted to talk about. Just some news and how I'm feeling and that perception, because I don't want to be perceived as someone mean or someone vile. I don't know. I found community here. I found it when I was in the trenches of motherhood, and man, I still am, but I love jumping on here. I love talking to all of you, and I don't love hearing similar experiences when it comes to this specific experience, but I feel, I guess, validated to know that I'm not the only one and that my feelings are shared. It's just this connection that I never thought would be out there, especially with how rare this is for our children. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Cheers to you. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned. I love jumping on here every day and kind of making these videos. I don't want them to be this long, you know, but I don't know. I love the vlogs because I can just get a lot covered. And right now we're in this sweet spot where we can see family every day. We can go into town. I can show the kids where I hung out. We can do homeschooling in peace, and it's just nice. So we are very happy, and we're grateful for each and every one of you. If you are new here, I hope I didn't scare you away with that story, but check out my other videos. Again, I've been on here for so long, and we have a bunch. So I would love it if you hit the subscribe button. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, y'all.